Good evening, short story writers. Tonight, our fiction writing prompt is something else you're going to find in your life usually, and that is a key. And there are two types of key. Well, there are three. There's keys for codes where you need a key to decipher something. There are metaphorical keys and there are literal keys. So let's talk tonight about literal keys. So, short story ideas from keys that you put in locks and turn. Keys have great significance in stories, and maybe it's a bit overused, really. So, I'd encourage you to write a story where the key has a rather more mundane function. So, the short story idea would be take a key, ask yourself the usual questions. What if it did the opposite? So you start off with what does it do? It opens locks, it closes locks, it keeps people and forces and animals and other unwanted elements out or in. So it can be something which imprisons, it can be something which keeps something safe in a box or a safe. And it can also be obviously something which would lock a door to keep people out. Burglars, that kind of thing. Right, so that's what it does. So, first question, what if it did the opposite? What if you put it in a box and turned it and it actually advertised that there was something valuable in the box? Would there be a story in that? That would be a bit of a problem, wouldn't it? Or would it be a solution? So that's the second question. What problem could this cause? What problem could it cause if it changed its properties? And what problems could it solve? So, if what it does is a solution to a problem, what was the problem? So, for example, using that one where you turn the key and the box now advertises that there is something of value in there, is that a problem? Well, for some people, yes, that would be. But what if that was solving a problem? What if that was bringing the bad guys as a lure? In the same way that bait attracts a fish so that you can get them. Is there a story there for an action or thriller writer? Is there a story there if it's a beacon for bad entities for fantasy and horror writers? Is there a story there for somebody who wants to catch an intergalactic criminal? I wonder. And if the key did that, then is there a story there for somebody who wants to write a literary fiction? Somebody who wanted to write a story perhaps about a friend trying to track down an old friend and the likes of social media isn't working, but they happen to know that this person is interested in a certain type of activity. Maybe they're big football fans. Perhaps they're um, two people who had a mutual interest in. They're called detectorists. They have a metal detectors, and for whatever reason, they want a reunion with this person. So they. Somebody did this, didn't he? He made a hair out of gold and he buried it somewhere secretly, let it be known via a story, and you had to buy the book to get the clues. So that, in its way, was the book was the box, and he locked the secret, metaphorically, in the book, and the book was on sale until somebody cracked it. It took about a year for somebody to find this golden hair, and it was worth about, I don't know, £1,000 or something like that, which at that time was a fair amount of money because this happened about 20, 30 years ago, something like that. and with inflation and the depreciation against the dollar, etc., 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 that £1,000 would now buy maybe £2,500 worth of stuff. So that's, not a mean amount of I don't know, what can £2,000 buy? A lot of chocolate, shall we say, or a lot of Starbucks coffees. Anyway, that would be one example. What else? If you think you've locked the door, but in fact that just incentivizes people to be more creative in getting in or out of whatever it is you are trying to imprison them in or enclose them in, and thereby keep them safe or keep yourself safe. An example of that was the Great Wall of China, which apparently was built to keep out. Oh, he became the Emperor Qin. I don't know what his real name was. Excuse my ignorance. I'm going on what I was taught age 7 or 8 at school in our history lessons, the burning of the books, etc. But I understand that he was Mongolian in origin, and his answer to the wall was to bribe the gods to let him climb the wall and his soldiers, and then invade. I'm sure very unpleasant things happened to the soldiers as well, because they'd already proved themselves to be somewhat less than trustworthy. So in that case, the wall really was a kind of key, and there was a way around it. So what I'm saying is that if you create a problem, the best kind of stories happen when writers paint themselves into a corner, and they make it so that there's seemingly no way out for their protagonist, and then the protagonist has to be inventive and find a way out. And really, if you can paint yourself metaphorically into a corner with the key situation, or with any of the problems that I describe for you in these videos, and then you can find some other way, even if it's just persuading someone to help them using their guile and their wit and their charm, then you've got the makings of a superior story. Okay, so that is today's short story idea. We may or may not look at metaphorical keys tomorrow. We're nearing the 8-minute mark. As usual, if this was useful, thumbs up please, thumbs down if it was terrible, and until then, happy writing.